You ready?
Yep.
All right. I'm going to do my action thing.
Do it. I want to see it one time.
Action. All right. Welcome to Inside the Huddle, brought to you by Romo Athletics and powered by your title sponsor, Phelps County Bank. They are 100% employee-owned. They're 100% community champions. They are bankers by day. You know what they are by night?
Supporters.
They're Bulldog fans. You darn right they are. So here we are. This is season 3. This is episode 87. This is a Home Sweet Mo Property Spotlight edition because while Cabby has been a coach in his past, he is not in that role now. And this is a spotlight because we got Mark Caballero, retiring athletic director, and he's going to be joining us and talking about his time here at Rolla and then what's next. Cabby, thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
I tell you, it's been kind of crazy to think it's 9 years.
9 years.
And I'm like, wow, it seems like it was just yesterday that,
Absolutely.
kind of met you coming in. And it's been a great time. Before we get on that, let's go back to how it all started with you. Mm-hmm. So I go back and let's take a look at this. You played football at Northern Iowa.
Yes.
One of the Panthers up there.
Yeah. Yep. Went up there, and my last playing year was in 1985. That year we were battling for the national championship, got beat by Georgia Southern, and they had a hell of a quarterback, Tracy Ham, and he was actually a draftable quarterback, but he went to the Canadian League and had a long career up there. So it was a great career, and that's when I started coaching, and I became like a student assistant GA type, and then a few years after that, then when I got a chance to go make some money and do all that, went out to Garden City Community College and coached out there for a couple of years, 3 years, and then went to Idaho State, and then moved to Pocatello, Idaho.
Nice.
With my family, with Jane and Britton. She was just an infant then.
And Pocatello's incredible.
Yeah, it's a beautiful spot. Yeah. And then we were there for about 6 years, and then we moved back to the Midwest, to Western Illinois University. We were there for a couple of years, and then we moved down to SMS, which is now Missouri State. Yeah. And then after that, I got the opportunity to go to Ozark High School. And I really wasn't ready for a change at that time because my kids were getting at that point now where, I was going to miss quite a bit. Yeah. Being a college coach, that's the thing you sacrifice a lot is a lot of family things.
Yeah, because it's more than just the time coaching. It's the prep, it's the recruiting, it's the prep. All season long. All year long, not even season long. It is just nonstop.
Absolutely. And I think that was one of the big driving forces. I had some good friends of mine that I had at church, and they were asking me, how do you juggle it all? How do you do it and still feel like you're a husband and a father? And that weighed on me a while. Believe me, that's kind of a low blow. But it worked out, and that was something I'll never forget when we made that decision to go to high school, and I never regretted it one bit. I loved working with those kids, and I guess coming from college, you had a little bit of credibility built in already, and so I loved working and training with the kids and working with the coaches and the parents too, because it's a package deal, know. But it seems like the time at Ozark, because my kids went through Ozark, and that was right before the big boom happened in Southwest Missouri, and then Ozark and Nixa took off and exploded, and now you see they're Class 6 and everything they do, and they're the largest class. But it was a good place to grow. It reminds me a lot of like Rolla to some degree, because the towns are really close in size. It's just the timing of when everything was booming and building, and I think the growth that we're seeing here in Phelps County is going to be some interesting, exciting times because a lot of planning is going to have to be taken for the schools, for our community. There's a lot of stuff, infrastructure there that's going to have to probably look closer than the next 3 to 5 years because you like to have at least like a 10-year plan, but I think that's going to be interesting because you're going to see more elementaries and maybe middle schools and stuff, conversions and stuff.
Yeah, you're going to have to. We've seen quite a bit here this last little bit, and that's one of the things that you oversaw is when we went over to the 7th grade program and added that into the sports thing. So you spent 20 years as an athletic director. So you went into Ozark, you're coaching, you're teaching, and then you're heading into,
Sorry about that.
Special notice right there.
Yeah, no, that's power.
That's good. Oh, that's
Yeah,
good.
so thank God it wasn't 911. I've done that.
Surprise, get a break in
Yeah.
the window.
Yeah.
So you're at Ozark. You're coaching, you're teaching. Like you said, it's a great spot to raise your kids. And then you have an opportunity to get into the athletic director. Was that something that you had envisioned when you got there, or were you still just thinking, "Hey, I'm spending family time, I'm coaching, I'm this"? I wasn't really thinking about going to the athletic director role.
Well, I had got my master's degree in sports management.
Okay,
so I thought someday down the road, if I ever was going to get into public ed, that'd be a natural transition. 'Cause I'd love to do that. It's kind of funny because when I did leave SMS and went to Ozark High School, they asked me, "Hey, you got teacher certification?" I go, "Yes, I did it in Iowa, so it's all done." And I said it might take them a minute to find it because I might have to go dust it off in the archives. But they found it and got it all done. But yeah, it was one of those things where I was either going to become a head coach, and some of the head coaches at that time were still ADs. That was something that was transitioning to less and less because of the workload with being an AD and also trying to be a Class 6 or Class 5 football coach. That's a lot of responsibility. And so a lot of the planning stuff is what you really get bogged down with. But to get back to the football and coaching side, I guess my first opportunity was when I had an opportunity to go to Branson High School. And I went down there and interviewed down there for their AD job. And, and I shared with them there that I'd love to be the head coach and the AD. I think that was something they were wanting to get away from because they had done that in the past. I understood. But I also said, well, if you're just going to be the AD here, then I'd rather probably do that at Ozark because we're winning. So
Branson was not a winning program that time.
And I'm not slighting
but
Branson
it's
at all,
reality,
but yeah, it's the reality of it. But they had a lot of very good things there, but some of the things that really drew me to Ozark was the commitment that they had to their sports programs and to their education, and a community that yearned for that.
Yeah.
So that was something that really was a big part of my decision to go there. And once we got in there and we seen how big it was, and the opportunity to get even bigger, it was really exciting because then we moved from the old high school, which is their junior high now, and then we moved up the hill, and then we got the big high school. And it's amazing. We moved up there on a Christmas break. We took all my weight training classes, and we moved all that stuff, all the desks, all the tables, everything went up. And it was really kind of an interesting thing. But the kids that were in my class got to see the new high school before anybody else did. So that was that was a little incentive to get up there. But it was funny. We got all that stuff done over right before Christmas break, and then the teachers had to move into their rooms during Christmas break and be ready to come back in January.
Wow.
So, I mean, that was intense.
Yeah.
And, everything was taken up. We took a lot of the PE stuff, a lot of the equipment was moved, weight room stuff and all that. And then the teachers, all their stuff was put on pallets, shrink wrapped, and then taken to their outside their door. Then they had to unwrap it, move into their new rooms, and away we go.
Yeah, and so they essentially gave up some of their Christmas break
They
to get in there. Oh my!
Yeah, that's not an easy thing.
No. But again, the opportunity to be in a new facility, I'm sure the teachers also were like, hey, they were kind of excited about the opportunity.
Oh, no question. Yeah, it was a really exciting time because of the transition. It's kind of from the old to the new, and it was going to be such a large scale because our enrollment in our towns were growing. Christian County was growing, and it was just really an exciting time to be around. And it was a great, they called it we had a decade of dominance. Actually, it was a little bit more than that, but where we had won so many state titles, and the coaches were tremendous. We had a lot of good talent come through. Then we had the facilities to go with it. I mean, we had
starting the COC arms race.
Yeah, it really was. Because whatever Nixa did, Ozark did, or if Ozark did it, Nixa had to do it. Then everybody else was trying to catch up. So, but yeah, it's one of those things that it's kind of a good to have a neighbor like that because it forces the other hand sometimes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and that's one of the challenges we've had, obviously, is, being located where we're at.
yeah,
There's, the largest school next to us is going to be Waynesville, which, again,
yes,
they have a lot of government funding. A
sure,
little, especially from the federal government, so it's a little hard to compete on that scale.
yes,
Then you're heading up to Jeff City. So, but having that rivalry, you're actually right next door communities,
yeah,
kind of exciting. So then you went from Ozark to Jefferson City. And at
yes,
that point, Jefferson City is one of the largest schools in the state.
yes,
Massive. And again, another winning program with what
right.
they had done historically through there. And then he spent, was it 7 years there or something like that?
4 years.
4 years,
I
just
was
4
4
years?
years
Okay.
there.
And yeah, so
Yeah,
what
so
about that time?
well, it was kind of a weird time. I was in my truck driving down to Carthage for a girls' basketball game, and a good friend of mine and our Booster Club president, Mike Hayward, was with me in the truck, and I took a call came in, and it was a person I knew from Jeff City High School, and he was talking to me about would I be interested in going up there and interviewing for the job. And he's sitting there right there on the other side. I know he can hear it.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm not. It's kind of it's funny, but I'm listening to him and I'm answering a few of the questions, and then I hang up and he goes, "Who was that?" I said, well, it was, you heard it. I said, it was Jeff City, and they want me to come up for an interview. But long story short, I looked at that opportunity, went up there twice and interviewed. I was intrigued by that because it was the largest or the second largest high school in the state of Missouri, and I thought it would be a kick in the shorts really to run a very large program like that with so much history. A lot of history in every sport. So I took a hard look, and I never thought I'd leave Ozark. I never did. I wasn't really per se looking at it to leave, but we did end up moving up there, got the job, and 4 years was in a lot of transition up there because when I just accepted the job, they had lost the vote was a horrible defeat to build another high school. And then they ran it again within 2 years when I was there, and then it passed. And then a lot of things were changing. The infrastructure was changing, and I didn't think that was as good because I wanted to go up into that one high school town and do a lot of things, and we were doing good things. But it's one of those things where you gotta know your supports there. Everything from the school board all the way to the superintendents, all the way down to your building principals and everybody that's hooked in, because there's a lot to it, especially in that town. So
it's been and it's been a challenge up there for him now. Since that happened, you have Cap City, a lot of dynamics going on in that community, and we both have connections up there, and it's been I think it's been a challenge for them. So that's probably the right move to kind of maybe transition out.
Well, and that's what kind of drove me was I loved it. I loved the energy of being so large like that, involved with such a big organization. I really thought that was neat. The opportunity to better some things. From just simple communications all the way through academic checks and getting our programs as strong as they could be. The thing I knew in the back of my mind that real challenges that we had being right there in the state capital was so many of our sport programs didn't have their own home field. I mean, we were all over the place for outside sports. Baseball was at Vivian. Soccer was out at 179. Softball was at 4 different locations in my time there. So, I mean, it was a lot. And those kids survived it and thrived in it. So it really didn't hinder the success. It just made it a little bit more challenging. But, when that started splitting and they started going and planning for the new high school, you could see where they were going to have to redistrict and replan and all that. And then I heard of the opportunity to come to Rolla. And I knew a few people here. So I did some calling around, did some checking, and got an opportunity to come here. Met with a superintendent would have been Aaron Zellis that time.
Dr. Z,
Yep. So that was a fun interview, an interview that I think I was searching as much as they were because. I think in their mind they were thinking, well, why would he want to come from Jeff City to Rolla? And I'm thinking, like, you don't understand how good you got it. Until you had been in a place that's been a little disarray. But And it was nice because I think a lot of it reminded me of Ozark to a degree, but I thought here's a diamond in the rough. Here's a place that if they would embrace it, it could be ever good as we could make the academic wheel as strong or stronger, because using the platform of athletics and activities to bolster that.
Yeah.
And look at it, so many of our student athletes, like your son, 4.0 valedictorian. I mean, holy cow. We got so many good kids that do so many great things in our activities programs. And I think sometimes the academic community feels threatened by it. And it's too bad, because I really think, especially with my background in working at colleges and universities, you have to embrace both if you want anything to have an energy on campus.
Yeah, and I think that's been my challenge here as well, is to recognize that you can have both.
Yes.
They don't have to be mutually exclusive. And historically, like Dr. Zalas was a former coach and a player, and we had a staff that you try and embrace that. Like we want the student athletes. That's what this school was all about, was having both, and that's why it's an activity director and not just an athletic director,
Absolutely.
right? So you have the other activities that go with it, and they roll underneath your umbrella as well.
Absolutely.
And which I thought was always kind of a great thing to do, so you don't separate them, but you combine them and have that going. But that is, that's when you're at your best, is when you have athletic programs that drive a lot of energy.
Sure.
And then you have the academic programs that kind of sustain it because of the type of kids that come out of that they produce. And you, like you said, you saw that this year with the 12th man, the 6th man,
huge.
And how everything kind of would go, and all walks of life, and and there was multiple collegiate athletes that were part of that top honors for academics as well. So
I haven't been at a school system yet. I've been at 3. And it's kind of funny because every superintendent and usually building principal would always say this, and I believe this wholeheartedly, is that if your fall goes good, it'll go right into the winter, and that'll go good, and your spring will go good, and the hallways have that energy, that positive energy. The teachers have less to handle in the classroom with discipline. And I truly believe that, because the kids that are really looked up to are the kids that are in the activities programs, from marching band to drama to speech and debate to all the way to all the sports programs, boys basketball, girls basketball, wrestling. I mean, there's so much there because of our spectrum covers so much in activities, like you were saying. And I'm glad for that too, because it's neat for our kids to thrive in the things that they want to thrive and be successful in, and they're talented in. And that's where I look at it as an every opportunity to showcase the kids and the programs. That's why I'm so thankful for what you do, is by showing our community, and our community is expanding further than what we just know in Phelps County. It's all over the state. It's all over the country with programs like yours. And so our kids are getting more and more exposure, but the opportunities that they're getting are great. I mean, I went to school, I graduated in 1982, and they weren't, none of this was around then. And so I think we just barely got out of the wagons then, but it was really something. We had so many positive things in the 9 years we did here. I just look back, I just can't believe it's gone this fast. It feels like 3 to 4 years.
Yeah. I can't believe it either. Before we jump onto that, I talked on the season ticket with JP Maxwell the other day, and we talked about graduation. And Isaac Brooks' speech was phenomenal. He was, a state champion, I think, debate. And I got goosebumps right now just thinking about it. Because Ethan had talked about, he goes, I thought about trying to put in my name to give a talk. He goes, and then I'm like, okay, and he didn't he didn't get it submitted, whatever. And he goes, oh, Isaac Brooks. He's like, oh yeah, no, he goes legit. Or you got someone like a Wyatt McDonald that shows up to take photos of the people doing their things, and then he's out there leading some council. I mean, it's just, there's so many great leadership. So let's jump into this what your time here. So you come in as athletic director, and the very first thing is, we're adding 7th grade sports.
Yes.
So again, we're crazy that we were a class 5 school. We weren't quite 6 yet. Or back and forth, 4 and 5, depending on what sport. And we had no 7th grade sports.
Yeah. And that's a real challenge. When you don't have that infrastructure all the way down, then you're the travel teams, your city rec departments, SIR basketball, Knights soccer, all those take that place. You want to have that be coexisting with what you have at the high school and the junior high programs. And I had just gone through that because when I was at Jeff City, they didn't have junior high sports at the 7th grade level. And so we brought that in. And they asked, what are the things you need to do to get better? Well, it's like I said, well, we don't start our kids at age 10 when they go to school, do we? We want to get our hands on them as fast as they can so they can learn to read, write, and do the right things and learn proper behavior. It's the same thing with athletics. I mean, it's a lot of physical and a lot of cognitive things that they're learning in athletics too. And then the biggest piece was how that social integration works, how that all works, because kids that learn how to work within teams and organizations understand the dynamic of why my behavior in the classroom is important, why I need to be a good student, a good citizen in the classroom, or a good teammate, So those type of things, you're spot on there, Tom.
So now let's look at some of the other things that happened during your time. Of course, one of the more recent ones was the field house. You got the expansion. We got the new gym, field house. We stayed in the other one for a long time.
Yeah.
It was one that I think every one of my kids were kind of disappointed because they all like playing in it. And Ethan loved playing it because it's a shooter's gym.
Yeah.
It's small, it's tight, it's loud, it's packed. But man, there's no AC. It was packed, and you're fighting, and then the band comes in, which is crazy loud, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
And it was, Kevin Stubblefield from Lebanon, from little KJL when he was there, would talk about that. He goes, I'm going to miss this. He goes, it was the loudest darn thing. It was hard to do a broadcast because it just created such an atmosphere.
Yeah.
And so you give it up, but you go to the field house, and it's such a great building, and we were able to make it loud too.
Sure.
So to me, that's one of the big things. What are some of the other things that since your time here that you look back on?
I think that vote that Dr. Zales led, that in our community and our leaders and all that within our educational system and our community, when we went out to vote, you got to think of the timing of all this was all going on, and then COVID comes in, and you're going like, what's going on? And it threw us in a different position we never were used to ever being in, and we were uncomfortable with that. And the community still supported that vote, to build on and to make a new gymnasium in the field house, storm shelter, fine arts auditorium, and band and choir. We're going to have great areas to learn.
Finally have a room instead of having to have 3 different practices because they can't fit everybody into the classroom.
I went in there, I remember my first year here, I remember going into the choir room and the band room and watching what these guys were doing was those guys, Slowinski and those guys, I tell you what, they're awesome. But I tell you what, they were trying to do in a small, minimal space for so long. And now to see them what they got is it really made my heart feel good because John is an icon. He will be very much so here in Rolla High School history. But you look at the other things we've done. I think from a lot of big things we've done is we've redone the turf recently. We put new scoreboards in, and that's an interesting one because before COVID, we had talked about doing that project, the big school out there, and having that big vision board out there. And then COVID came and it just wasn't the right time. And then the vote came in for the bond issue, for the expansions. And so we kind of put that on hold for a little bit because obviously that other stuff we felt was more important. But also too, I knew we'd get back to it. It's just a matter of time until we got through the muck of all that stuff. But, I looked at, like when I first came here, I really admired something that Dr. Zales used to always say. He goes, just don't bring me your problems, bring me some solutions. So one of them for me was, how do I create some revenue in a community that is so giving, but not taxing them so much, And one of them was, I thought, to get a beverage contract here, because we had one at Ozark and we had one at Jeff City. And I'm thinking we remember one year it'd be outside would be Coca-Cola and Pepsi would be inside. Then they'd flip the next. And I didn't know which way to go half the time. And so I asked him, I said, I think this would be a lucrative thing. Here's the information I have from Jeff City and Ozark. This is what we've done before. I said, I think it would pay us dividends to do something like this. And it really was. We struck gold there. And, by selling one of the products or products from a Coca-Cola or a Pepsi, we had gone with Coke, but it gave us the opportunity to create a revenue stream that would help offset the school district in projects that we wanted to do to help our activities programs get better, right? And that was my whole motivation of that. And it was a good thing because, and it's still a good thing, it's got a lot better. And so it's one of those things that the partnership and the agreement that we have with Coca-Cola is, it's very fixated around education. And not only helping out in serving products, but they have a customer service that's better than anybody. And so, for us to be able to have that and to partner with them, that's a national program. That's a worldwide, Coca-Cola is worldwide. And so that was a real win for us. And then you look at some of the things that we've been able to do with, we partnered with Daktronics when we did the vision board and the boards and the scoreboards in the new facilities. And the field house looks unbelievable because the scores table that lights up and plays the video and it has it's not all pixelated. It looks really great, right? And then you got the big vision screen up there that can display any ad, any feature that you want to do, score panels and all that. Then across the gym, you got the other Daktronics board that you get to see the score stat panels on all the kids. And so that really was a good thing. And it's got state-of-the-art technology in it. So we can do a lot of things. We have done a lot of things from all the athletic events that you go on. We've had band concerts in there. We've had big assemblies in there. We've had our big back-to-school meetings in there. So, I mean, there's a lot.
Wrestling in there.
Wrestling in there.
The youth wrestling that swamped out everything. That was a crazy event in there.
Someday I hope, for the sake of further development, I would love to see another competitive gym. It doesn't have to have all the seating like it, but I mean, if you only have 500 seats, that can be, as long as the floor is regulation, then the teams don't have to go from a small gym to that old tartan floor that we have that the kids are horrible with their knees on it and their backs.
Yeah, we only have it's the only full-size hardwood gym we have is there. We have the junior high with the smaller gym.
Right.
Then that's it. So that's the two hardwood courts in a school our size. That would be. Yeah, that's been a long.
Well, you look at it, and there's a lot of needs, and you always have to prioritize them, and it can't always be all sports. But like when I got here, getting our outside fields put on a rotation for taking care of them. For example, softball, every other year, dirt, Duramax, that conditioner, laser grading, adding, taking away. That stuff hadn't been done on a regular cycle. So that means your players are not playing on a safe area as can. And that was the same way with soccer. It was the same way with baseball, and having impact testing done on the turf field. That stuff you have to be able to say, we're doing it because of the liability reasons. And so making sure that stuff is online and noted is very important for the future of success, not only in athletics and activities, but also for every parent out there that knows that we're doing right by their kids by making sure every playing surface is safe to go, ready to go.
Well, and one of the things you talked about when you came on, you were talking about, hey, really need to get a weight program over the junior high. And part of the whole building expansion that went on was just that. And now we have that program over there.
Absolutely. That was something we were trying to get to early. I think some of it was a lack of understanding what would that be like, how would it look like. We brought that in when I was at Ozark at junior high weights. And it was a huge success. And it wasn't about how much weight they were lifting. It was introducing them to a safety technique or the orientation of it, and making sure the kids were getting taught, this is what you're going to have to do to be a better athlete, a better person. If you're in your health, fitness, everybody today is looking at that. And so, Yeah, we brought that in, and it really yielded benefits because now our kids were faster, they were stronger, they could post up and hold their own instead of getting shoved all over the court or on the football field or even soccer. Soccer is such an aggressive sport.
Oh my gosh,
And,
so physical.
and, you know, and you look at all the things that we have to do, and then when we brought the try to get that here at first, I think it was met with some uncertainty and maybe a little opposition because they just didn't get it.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people got involved real early and maybe too many. So you can do a lot more with less sometimes, but then you need the army to make big things happen. But one of the things I thought was the water got murky a little bit, and I think we needed to pull back from it just a little bit. And then when the time came, then it flew. And the school district did an awesome job of supporting us, but also our booster club did too. Our booster club, Doug James and his leadership within the booster club, and all the people that he had on his board there were unbelievable. All the time that they gave, all the things that they made happen, and that was a big thing. When I got here, I was realizing that my first summer here, it was the June. Really, basically, I could say July 1 because I just moved in here, and then the 4th of July fair was going on at Lions Club. And so, but I remember we didn't have enough money even at that time to buy, from the Booster Club, we didn't have enough time to buy training shirts, like a theme shirt that says, get stronger, Bulldog Pride, something like that. But, and now those guys are just rolling, that it takes vision and getting everybody to see the vision of what the school district needs. It's easy to buy pizza, milk, juices, candy, but that's not making us better. New facilities, helping partnerships in facilities, that makes us better. Wherever the school district can't do, if we can come in there and contribute, that always helps. And I think for people that give money to the program in the Booster Club, when they can see real things happening, the weight room was one, then junior high weight room happened, and then you start seeing scoreboards go up, and you start seeing bigger things happening, and it's impacting their kids. Then they're thinking, well, there's something to this, and so it grew. And we grew that program with a lot of good people. We went from having hardly anything at the start of the school year to within 2 years, we were well over $50,000 every year. And then within the next 2 years, we were close to $75,000 to $80,000. And then the years 5 and 6 and 7, we were banging close to $100,000 a year. And as you know, with your wife Jenny being on the board at treasurer, and there's been so many people there. Mike Fisher, his leadership now with being president of the board. Amy Lewis was this past year, and Doug James for so many years. I mean, Doug had been involved in the Booster Club. Doug is another icon of Rolla Bulldog sports. He is a Bulldog through and through. And you got to give a shout out to Tracy, his wife, because all the stuff that Doug was gone for, was much appreciated. But, we had so many things. I remember the Klausners were so big in helping us out. Shelley had been on the board for like over a decade, I think, with all the kids that they had.
Exactly.
So there's a commitment there, just like what you've done with Serve Basketball. It's a commitment of time. You can't have a lot of transition in some of those organizations because you won't get it really rolling because you're always having to reteach and you lose that momentum. And momentum is the key of it. And I'll never forget, listening to John Maxwell talk one time, and he says, if you want to build momentum, you got to have people stay, and they're got to be committed to your vision. And it just wasn't my vision, because when Doug and I were talking in the early days, it was kind of like a collaboration of things that we came up with that we said, this is the direction we need to take this, and I think this community will rally around it, and it sure did. So it's one of those things where I'm very proud of those guys in that Booster Club for what they've done, but what they'll do in the futures to come, because it has become such a big thing. Like Heidi Kolench took under her wing the golf tournament. Man, she knocked it through the park.
Oh yeah,
You
it's been
know,
good. Yeah,
that's good stuff because that's a big contribution to what we do. And that money goes to all the athletic programs, and so that's nice. But then I look at it too as, you know, we've got facility upgrades. Soccer, the soccer field has been redone. Baseball, softball has been redone. You know, the lighting project, the new LED lights in all the stadiums here, from football, soccer to baseball to softball, will all be done. Track, that's going to have to go on that 10-year project. Softball, baseball, that complex, I took that one a little hard. I really wanted that one before I left. Like I wanted to get our school back in a conference. There was two things I really wanted to happen there. One of them happened, the two, but to get into conference back in the Ozark Conference was, I owe Dr. Dare big thank you for that, and the board for letting us get back in there, and him leading a lot of that with the superintendents. Where I led was at the AD level, and getting us back at the table and meeting and having some good conversations, some hard conversations, but some good conversations for future growth and future development of the Ozark Conference as we know it now. But, you know, those type of things we can. Now, baseball, softball field, I think a turf field would be great because it's another multi-purpose sport area. But just because they said no, not now, doesn't mean it won't be for the future.
Right.
You know, so in currently where the baseball field sits, it's in a retention area, and so a lot of money would have to be pulled and poured into that project for drainage, sewer. I mean, there's a lot more than going on there, because if you try to put turf in there, it'd float away. You know, I mean, that water that's running down there, and with the addition to the west side of the high school here, you know, with the field house, all the fine arts, you know, all that area, that's a big space. That field house and fine arts area, all the way up to the tornado shelter and the auditorium, that's bigger than some high schools in the state of Missouri. And that water runoff has contributed to some of the issues that they're looking at. And they have recognized that as an issue. If they're ever going to make the facilities down below better, they have to deal with the drainage first. So it'd be crazy of us to throw any money out the window at buying surface stuff when it really needs to be below the surface, that you're fixing the drainage and all that. But hopefully they'll get that done.
Yeah, I was going to say, so if you went back and looked and said, you know, what are those things that are left undone, or things that's the one, that's the big
That's
thing.
probably the one I would say it stung me a little bit, just because I really wanted that. Maybe I wanted it for too much of the wrong reasons, but I just thought for the kids to be at a class 5 and class 6 school, to have that ability to be able to not have as many rainouts, and our kids have the opportunity to get better from the first day of spring practice, instead of always having to be in a small gym that only has one batting cage. And now we got a second batting cage, so we got a little better there. But, you know, if we can get onto a surface, whether it's softball, baseball, I mean, heck, your PE classes could go out there, soccer could go out there. There's just so much can be there. Band could be on it. It's just a matter of how you want to diagram those fields up, because they can be laid out as a big green space, and then they all have markings so you can fit them into a different thing, and you've seen that. But, you know, there's a lot of little things there, you know, you got to go on, and that's just part of it. I think a second gym would be really neat too, because of the development. Right now, our kids, like at the junior high, it's so hard down there. They need another functional gym. You know, having boys come in or girls come in at 5:45 or at 6 o'clock in the morning in the winter, just to be able to practice, because there's only really one gym, and you've gone through that, Tom,
a lot of kids
with all your boys
there,
through there. And you look at it, you're thinking, well, we just have to do what we have to do. I mean, if we're going to have sports, and we only have these certain facilities, here's the challenges. Now, do you let the challenges cripple you, or do you thrive in them? Well, we've learned to go in the morning before school and after school. And it's the same thing we do here with wrestling. Marty's done a tremendous job with that, of growing that program, a program that usually, if it doesn't have a lot of impact, it's just a lot of rolling. You know, there's not a lot of, if you don't have a lot of success, then the program don't go. Well, the program has success, and Marty's built that thing up into a champion. So there's a lot of good things there. But we got a new wrestling room that was done. I remember Kelly Hinshaw was here, Jim, and those guys. Jim Pritchett was the principal when they did the math wing, and they built that wrestling room out there. So that's exciting because when I came on, that's when they were finishing all that stuff. And I mean, literally, in the last closing days, right before school started, they were finishing those projects. And so that was neat stuff. It's exciting to come in and see that energy, because that just leads into more building projects, but also too, as our society changes, the demands on the school will always change, and so you always got to stay up with it as much as your community will support it. And a lot of that is with financial dollars.
Yeah, and that's the cold hard truth is that it does take money to get things produced, done, provide.
Absolutely.
And it's not maybe as simple as when we were young and what it took now to have those things go on, and everything's just a lot more advanced. And with us not having the conference, the travel extends up. So how much more important is the level of competition, the size of school we are. Everything changes kind of going forward.
Well, absolutely. I mean, like you alluded to this earlier, was here we are, a big school in a small area. Yeah. And we're isolated. You're 112 to Springfield or St. Louis, either way, really, basically. And the next door neighbor, Waynesville, is 30 miles down the road, and they got their own little thing with the government there with all the funding they get. We don't get that. But, you got to still do what you can with what you got, And so I think a lot of the benefits of being a large school or a large town in a small, remote, rural area like us is that you got a captive audience. Your community will support it. And our partners, our shareholders, man, they've been unbelievable. To see as much support. I got to give a shout out to the ladies at the chamber. Those ladies knock it through the park. Stevie and those guys are just rocking it. And when I first came here, I had no idea everybody was talking to me about Bulldog Pride Night. And I'm thinking, I can't wait to see this. It sounds like a neat thing. And I didn't understand what it really was until I was there. And I'm going the enormity of that. And I'm going like, holy cow, this is like a game day major college university setting. And your community is there. The energy was there right before the game. And you're going like, man, does it get better than this? And I'm thinking like, this is great. But they put that on us. So they've supported us in a lot of ways. They also support us in the holiday tournament too. So they do a tremendous job. And Shannon, will be my successor, and Shannon will do a great job with it. He and Charlie's going to replace him. So
it's going to be
we got some good things coming up.
Oh, we do. It's going to be great to see that extended. Let me jump on the sponsors real quick. Appreciate them. We got Phelps County Bank, our title sponsor. They've been doing this they do so much for our community and for the sports programs and all the youth programs. So appreciate them jumping on board. This is a Home Sweet Mo Property Spotlight Edition. Thanks to Danielle and Jared Jordan. Again, Chanson got, third in state this year, I believe, in golf. So they've been a big supporters of the program and kids coming through.
Third or fourth.
Yeah, and other kids are coming in. Yeah, and so it's just an exciting time for all of that. Taylor Chrysler, they are our Coach Talk edition, so all of our Coach Talk episodes of Inside the Huddle. Appreciate that. Jeremy Shelton over there. Juan Skills Academy, his facility is going to be coming online here in a couple weeks, maybe a week and a half. Kind of excited about that. Kobe Juan's two-time All-State player, does Juan Skills Academy. Now he'll have the Juan Sports Complex. Wow. So looking forward to that. 2 gyms inside there, volleyball setups and basketball setups. So it's going to be a great opportunity. Jackie Mrazowitz in full bloom. Appreciate everything she does with all of her decor. She's sponsored a lot of the senior activities and senior signings. So she's been great on that. Her son Jack will be going to S&T to play 2 sports. And RJ Pest Control, new sponsor that came online, 30 years of experience within them and their pest control business, so appreciate them. All right, so let's talk a little bit about thinking back on your time, your 9 years here. Do you got a moment that's like, it's going to always show up one of those funniest moments, like this one time, a band camp type thing? Do you have something that's you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this happened, it was real funny? And
well, there's quite a few of them, and if you're around me enough, I sometimes I create those myself. So, I go back and I look back at year 1, year 2. I'll never forget because Lori and Corey are great in the office. They just do a tremendous job for us. And I'll never forget the response, the look I got from Lori when she asked me, she goes, well, how long will it take till we feel like we're really in sync? And I said, well, Lori, I said, it's going to be about probably 2 to 3 years. She looks at me, 2 to 3 years, it seems like a long time. And I said, well, it does, because I got to learn you, and I got to learn the process, how Rolla does things, and how I want to get things done. And it's about, because year one, you're evaluating and learning. Year two, you're, okay, it's getting, I understand more. And then by year 2 to 3, you're really wanting to implement and get going and get running with it. And so that was one of the funniest first moments. I think a couple of other ones I'll never forget were in band camp. We had a few kids give themselves concussion because they locked their legs and they fell backwards and hit their head. And so, because I hadn't seen that in a long time, I remember at Ozark one time we had a kid with a trombone turn too fast and whack a kid, and he got almost knocked out. So, but that had happened. It had happened at Jeff City too, where a kid had locked his legs out too and wasn't bending them, and over they went. And so we had concussion protocol going on right away.
For band and not football.
For band, not football. So there was a lot of little things. I mean, along the way, I look at, I'll never forget how like you brought up the old gym, the atmosphere of the old gym, and the kids would just, that energy that the student section that they would generate with the sixth man. Oh, that was unbelievable. Because it's hard to duplicate that. And the sweat that was coming off of people, and I'm looking at them, I'm going like, man, this is hot in here. And everything got hot in there, whether it was an assembly or back to school moment.
Oh, everything.
Everybody was drenching, but nobody would really say it. It's just like, we got to get some air conditioning. But those, a lot of opportunities and moments like that, and especially during basketball season, because it was such a big event in town to come see the Bulldogs play basketball. And, in that, I'll never forget one of those times, what was it, January? I think Craig Hounson was the superintendent then. We had that tornado come in. Remember, it was like mid to late January, and it's like 80-some degrees and humid outside. All of a sudden, the sirens go off, and we got 800 to 1,000 people in the gym. We're trying to get them all downstairs, and I'm thinking like, man, this is crazy. January, what's happening to our weather? That was one of the times too. And then, there's just been a lot of little things as you go through it, like trying to make sure all our scoreboards work all the time. That's why we've tried to change so many, because they were so old,
Yeah. Oh my. Oh yeah. Trying to
reset those things during a competition.
At timeout, we're like going, are we all matched up? No.
We're trying to jiggle the wires to make sure there's a low current that can light that board up. But it's stuff that a lot of school districts go through, and but it makes you appreciate more when you do have it. Because the voters and our community people that support our schools and pay their taxes and help us out in so many ways. That's how we get things done.
Well, I'm really glad you didn't bring up the moment when we first had a really in-depth conversation, and it was about one of my SIR coaches bringing their pet animal into the gym. And I got the video with that picture. Hey, Tom, what's your thoughts on this? Well, that's kind of a crappy idea, crappy thing that just happened, Cappy.
Well, so that was a part of that learning process here for me. I knew from everybody telling me, because we share our facilities with our community people as much as we can. Obviously, we're always going to try to take care of the school sports and school activities first, and then we divvy up from there on out. And then when I didn't realize, thank God we do have cameras to see that not only parents dropping off kids, but it looked like whole families coming out of a car and mom and dad would go on a dinner date,
babysitting,
and then come back. And or animals would come into the building and leave their remnants behind. But we got that worked out. That was pretty good. I think, some of the stuff that you itch your head about, you're going like, did that really just happen? Yeah, it did. But it's public school. It's kind of that melting pot of your community that comes together. And so all the flavors come in and you get to see it all.
Yeah, that was definitely that's now in our little bylaws, things we talk about.
Yes.
Okay, let's not drop off all the kids, make that up front. And then again, obviously the pets in the building was a first. And it's one I still always kind of hold as kind of one of the special moments.
I forgot about that.
I didn't. I bring it up every year for the SIR parents meeting and stuff. So we have that one. So what I mean, again, a lot of stuff, 9 years here. What are you going to miss most about the Rolla High School and your role here?
The people. The people make it. Every job. If you're doing it right. The great thing about my job, Tom, is that I not only work with people in building, I get to work with our people in our community, and that's probably one of my stronger areas is bridging that and embracing that from our booster club all the way to our chamber, to groups. I've spoke at many groups in town, and I always look forward to those opportunities because it's an opportunity to use our activities programs as a platform to maybe help them possibly, promote their business or their business helping promote some of the literacy things that we do. And it's such a neat partnership. But that's what I really enjoy is getting to know people, working with people, helping them realize their impact. I think a lot of times people don't understand that their time or efforts or even money, what that really can do to help a school like us and our kids and how much they appreciate that, because there's nothing better when you see those little kids running around town with a Bulldog shirt on or a painted face from an event they went to, whether it's a parent-teacher conference or a festival at an elementary school. There's so many things there that we do really well. And so, the people I'll miss, but also, the friendships I've made, and it's the thing about working with the people you work with, like with Corey and Lori, Shannon, and all the principals here. You get to know them really well, and they're more than just coworkers, or they become friends, allies, and you really, when you spend that much time with each other, you get to know a lot of them. And believe me, I know a lot of them and they know a lot of me. So it's kind of been a lot of fun stuff, but you got to be able to laugh, because a lot of times we are working in a lot of serious or big situations. But also too, I've always been one, you got to be able to enjoy your job. If you can't enjoy it, then the job is too demanding. It wouldn't be worth it. But in my 20 years or almost 20 years of being AD, would I do it all over again? You bet. I love it. I dearly do. Jane's wondering, my wife, Jane, of 40 years, she's wondering what am I going to do next? Because I'll bug her if I'm at home too much. She won't be able to handle work.
Well, I tell you what, that's going right into my next stuff for you. So you're going to Arizona.
Going to Arizona. We leave. We close on our house Wednesday at 11:30 at PCB, and then we will load the car that afternoon up, and then we will go up to Iowa for a wedding, and then we'll head out to Arizona. So we'll be out there I'd say by the 9th or 10th.
And you already got your place out there?
Yeah, already got our place out there. We'll be living at Apache Junction there. My dad's 15 minutes away from me, and I look forward to spending a lot of time with him. And I have my sister that lives out there, and I have a brother that lives in San Diego. So
Apache Junction's out of Phoenix, right?
It's on the east side. It's in the East Valley.
It's over there by what's the other though?
Mesa is a big one.
Yeah, mountain. There's a little mountain thing out there.
Dinosaur Mountain.
Yeah,
Superstition Mountain.
Yeah, that's it.
Superstition Mountain's right there.
Yeah.
So you get to wake up to that every morning now. So that'll be kind of nice.
Yeah, I love that area.
Yeah, it's a beautiful area. Good people. Yeah. A lot of good people. So we look forward to that.
So hobbies out there. I mean, you're going to golf. What else are you going to be doing?
I love to golf. I love to get on a side by side. Where Jane loves to do that too. So I think we'll be getting one of those. I've been teasing her. I said, well, I need a truck, honey, if I'm going to have to pull one of those. So
there you go.
She knows I want to get that truck back into my life. So we're working on that. But I love to golf. I love to hike. I got into hiking out there. There's so many nice natural parks, national parks to go to. And with all that BLM ground out there, you can go anywhere out there. It seems like you can just go hike. I feel like like a Boy Scout. Again, you just go out in that frontier and check it out. And, Sedona's not far. Flagstaff isn't far. The Grand Canyon I still haven't been to yet, and that's probably 3 or 4 hours north of me. But we'll get there. It's just there's some time, and I want to get to southern Utah and do some hiking up in there, but and do some fishing, maybe a little hunting. We'll see. See what happens.
That's good.
Yeah.
So that got all that set up. You got 2 years ago. You got Shannon. You brought him on as an assistant.
Assistant. He's our junior high AD,
and that was the first time we'd had an assistant AD.
Yes.
Again, and you think with the school our size, with the junior high stuff, and so just a question on that: is it normal? I mean, in the past ones, did other junior highs have their own athletic department, or did that all roll into high school as well? Like at Jeff's, Jeff's only had the one grade, but like at Ozark, was the high school athletic director the high school athletic director of high schools and junior highs?
It was until I got there, and then once I got into it, then we established the junior high AD.
Okay.
And you have to have that leadership from within that building a lot.
Yeah.
Especially at the schools that are our size, you've got to have that. So you have good growth, good programs, and the communication that it takes to run those programs out of the buildings. It's very important. With Shannon at the junior high, I mean, it was a home run from the first day he walked on our campus. I knew it. And his wife, Tori, is another home run. I mean, they're a great combination. But having Shannon up here at the high school now, I got to watch him for 2 years. He poured himself into it, and that's what it takes. It takes a person that is very focused on what they do, and they know how to get within themselves and others to get things done. But he understood from a coach's responsibility what it looks like, but also too as an educator and as an administrator. And those are all different hats, but that person wears all those hats. And it was fun working with him because I think early on in our working career, I got to learn that he wanted to be in high school AD. And I knew if he would just keep on growing, and he did, he surpassed whatever I thought he was going to be. And he got his credentials. He's already got his CAA done. I'm sure he'll work on his master's part of that coming up in the next couple of years. But, he's done such a great job of growing himself, the professional development that we've gone to together. He's not afraid to ask questions. It's fun to watch him now working with other ADs throughout the state of Missouri. He's going to be a leader, and that's what it really takes out of that spot. And he's actually tomorrow he'll be on his own down at the Ozark conference meetings. Nice. And so he'll be leading and representing Rolla. And he'll be a great one. And Charlie Parker's going to be replacing him.
Yeah, so he'll be heading over to
so Charlie will be growing in a lot of ways too, that he probably knows some of them, but as he goes through it as an AD, then he'll put on that other hat. Yeah. But Charlie will be another great addition too, because he is a very team-oriented person, like Shannon, very unselfish. He is a person that is here for the kids for all the right reasons. He understands the educational wheel and how that is our foremost thing, why we're here. And both of them understand the priority of having an educational-based program. So, because you get it the other way, it gets lopsided quick. And my previous school that I came in, it got lopsided quick a lot of times, and you got to flip it over because these 4 years that these kids are here, the friendships that they have, the relationships that they're forging for the future, and their personal growth is what lead them into being leaders in their community, leaders in their marriage, help them be a better person, a better teammate. It's just that there's so many things that I think activities as a whole, marching band, same drill, all those, their leaders, their leadership, they have a core of leaders within their band. And those kids are becoming leaders. And then the next generation that wants to be like that, and that dominoes. And so there are so many ways, that you can grow. I mean, I look what Patrick Brooks did with speech and debate. Wow. I mean, all I say is wow on that one, because he has taken that program from here to here. And I mean, you got to celebrate those things. And, talked about his son earlier at graduation with Isaac. That kid,
They would talk about, he would come in and like just into things with them and just like be hanging out there.
Absolutely.
And so he grew up just doing it, debating, and I mean, no paper. I mean, he just, it was all in his head. He just let out the cues, the timing. It was there. And I've had so many people kind of reach out to me that also watched it online.
Yes.
And talk about how powerful that was. But yeah, that's all because you have people that care about what they do.
Absolutely.
Here, the teachers, the coaches, bringing that and then making it where it's an environment. And I mean, we talk about all these senior signings we've had here. And I think about Mr. Reinhardt being here.
Yes.
No longer a coach,
Yeah.
strictly a history teacher, and he's retiring this year as well. But he had such an impact on so many of those kids coming through the program, first in the junior high, then into high school, that they all still, have this thing. And he's showing up he's at the graduation parties. And he makes it sure to be an effort to get there. And that's the impact.
Absolutely.
That ripples through that, my kids all still talk about Mr. Reinhardt. He shows up at the graduate party and there's Zach talking to him.
It's like, those are the moments I think you reflect back on. I think, especially this last year for me, since I knew this was going to be my last one. And it's been a little bit more surreal the probably last 2 to 3 months. And all the people that have reached out, over the years. I mean, you're going back and you're not just talking a few hundred. You're talking a lot of families, a lot of teams, different locations, because this will be our 14th move.
Yeah, wow.
When we go to Arizona.
Wow.
And, I always looked as life as a journey. You never know where your path is going to take you. And luckily I have a wife like Jane that has been very gracious and very accepting of that.
Yeah, you are lucky. You are really lucky.
But, I look at it, I'm going like, man, you think about the little things, the little opportunities you have, I call them little deposits. You get to put little deposits in every kid's life, positive deposits, challenges, helping them set goals, helping them meet those goals, getting them to be better than they normally would be by themselves. And that's the spot on of a leader that helps you raise that level of influence. And I also think that, as you grow older, it is funny because it's already happened here, and I've only been here 9 years, is I see people in a Walmart or wherever, and they go, I hear you're leaving. You're leaving us? And I go, yeah, it's time for the old man to go out, But it's fun to see the impact that you never know exactly what you've done to somebody or what you've contributed into that until they tell you. And that's when it really comes full circle for you. But it's really been fun here. I've really enjoyed it here. It's been a great community. Jane's really enjoyed it. I think I've enjoyed every spot on the destination. But also too, I believe that God had to handle it. So I don't think we've made a bad move. It's some of those moves have just been different. And so I really think that the people I've worked with have really been really good. I've got to work with some phenomenal coaches that are Hall of Fame coaches. I've got to work with some athletes that have put themselves in NFL or NBA or major leagues. It's been fun. Those are the kind of things, those memories you have, but then you remember all the other ones, all the other kids. They're pros in their own right, because the way they're going through life right now. Their husbands, their mothers, their wives, it's just, there's so much there. They're leaders in their community, or they're managers of a bank, or they're dentists or doctors now, or they have their own business, their auto body business. It's just, there's so many things that I'm so glad that what we have here, that RTI and RTC is such a shot in the arm. I would have loved to have that at my opportunity. To have that for our kids here is unbelievable. That's a great program. Yeah.
So we're talking. So Trut Richards graduated last year.
Yes.
Played football, big baseball. Great player. Has his own business now, doing the siding and guttering. When he was little, and my oldest son, so back in the 2016, when they graduated, they had a really great basketball team. Crowd was crazy. The kids like my son had the Mohawk mullet. It was not a good look. Trut got one too.
Oh, really?
And so he's a little kid over there, part of our SIR program, and kids all had it, and they would show up during the fourth quarter. Well, they'd be the whole game, but during the fourth quarter, the starters were always out because we were blowing teams out.
Right.
And they would all go down there, get pictures with them, sign autographs.
Yeah.
I don't think Coach Miller really knew what was going on. He was kind of focused on the new kids out there. But they'd be over there, and so we have all these pictures with Zach and Trut together.
Oh, yeah.
Trut just put siding on Zach's house for him.
Oh, wow.
And it was such a cool moment.
Yeah.
And then like you said, but here's this kid that chose a pathway and he's already at it and having success
Absolutely.
operating his own business.
Absolutely.
Because he came through those other programs as well, and he knew what he wanted to do. It's just tremendous, yeah.
And those opportunities that the kids are getting today at a place like Rolla, because we serve a lot of our communities around us that get to enjoy the opportunities at RTC and RTI. And that's awesome that we can do that. But you look back into the 80s, late 70s and 80s when I was going through high school. I mean, you were lucky if you had a woodworking shop or a metal shop or maybe an automotive class. That was very, very.
We had woodworking.
It's just one of those things. But our opportunities are skilled trade. I mean, those guys are making big money and opportunities and giving themselves a lifestyle that they can really be proud of. And that's what's really neat about it. And to watch these kids, I've had my car serviced here by the automotive department over there. I've got to see them work, and I marveled at that because I'm thinking like, man, I wish I could learn some of that skill.
I know.
I mean, it's just been so good. But there's so much to be appreciative for and thankful for that what we have here at Rolla. And I think, as I sum it up all in one word or two words, bulldog pride. There's so much to it. And as I sign off, I think that I've just been lucky to be a part of it.
That's great. So one last question. Who's more excited about the retirement, you or Jane?
Oh, Jane is.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm going to ask Jane too.
I think
you're going to be there full time with her. Jane, come on now.
I think Jane is, but Mark's got to find a little part-time something. It might grow into a full-time gig, but who knows?
Yeah, because I was thinking about all those years, all the moves, all the things you've done, and the nights that you're involved in everything, and it's like, and she's been a trooper, and your kids too come to visit, and then they're hanging out the events with you. We're down there at the baseball field together, or whatever. They're helping out. It's always kind of cool.
Working gate duty.
Gates and stuff, and just kind of and it's still kind of cool to see that they're able to embrace it because that has been the lifestyle. They've supported you on that lifestyle, and they've chosen to be part of that lifestyle.
Absolutely.
And so going back to that first question, you had back when you were at Missouri State, and it said, "Hey, how do you do it all?" Right?
Yeah.
And I guess you answered it that way by choosing a different path.
Sure. And and that's I never saw myself not coaching college football. But I think God has a funny way of bringing things into your life and people. And with that came some changes. And I'm glad I did because I got to meet and do some things that were really, really cool. Working with young people I hope I get to do those opportunities out in Arizona. I'd love to work with some kids like maybe high-risk kids or some kids that just need some mentoring. That'd be really cool.
That'd be great. Yeah, keep making that impact.
Yeah.
All right, Cabby. Well, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I want to thank Phelps County Bank for again being the title sponsor, Home Sweet Mo Properties for being the Spotlight Edition sponsor. Cabby, appreciate everying, man. It's been a lot of fun. Man, we've had a lot of fun together, going through seen a lot here.
Yeah,
kids have all kind of been through here while you're here. Man, appreciate everything. Wish you nothing but the best going forward.
Thanks.
All right, so for Mark Caballero, for Cabby, I'm Tom Brown from Inside the Huddle, the Heart of the Game. We'll see you next time.
All right. Thank you, my man.
Thanks,
appreciate you. You bet.